If I had a nickel for every time I had to troubleshoot a headless server or a Raspberry Pi but didn't have the space or the patience to drag around a full-size monitor, I'd have my car paid off by now. So that got me thinking, why don't more of us tinkerer types keep a small, dedicated diagnostic monitor in our home lab? Something that you can kind of just grab in a pinch and plug in and immediately see what's going on and do some diagnostics work. That's why I'm reviewing the $130 Andycine N10, a 10.1-inch portable monitor with a full HD IPS display designed for laptops, consoles, and honestly pretty much anything with an HDMI port. But can this little monitor actually earn a permanent spot in your home lab? Is it practical? Is it bright enough? And more importantly, is it actually useful when you need it the most? In full disclosure, Andycine sent me this monitor free of charge, but no money has changed hands. Andycine has not seen this video before it was uploaded, and everything you'll hear is my honest take. Inside the box, we have the monitor itself. We have a USB Type-C cable, a full-size HDMI, thank you very much, a manual, a stand for the monitor. This is actually a touchscreen monitor weighing just under 12 ounces, measuring 9.56 inches wide, 6 inches tall, and about 0.42 inches thick. So it's extremely lightweight and easy to take anywhere you go. As for build quality, it uses a basic plastic enclosure, which is very common for portable monitors. An aluminum body would have felt more premium, but the plastic does help keep it lightweight and more affordable. The stand is also plastic and adjustable through multiple positions, but it doesn't feel very sturdy. It's easy to knock out of place, and I do wish it had a way to lock the angle. For ports, you get a full-size HDMI port, a USB Type-C port, a 3.5mm audio jack, and rear-firing speakers. On the back, there's also a VESA mount, and on the bottom, a 1/4-inch screw mount, so you can easily stick this on a small tripod or clamp it to your server home lab rack for quick access when something needs troubleshooting. And up top on the monitor, you have the OSD buttons, the on-screen display buttons for power, brightness, volume, and menu navigation. Now, this monitor works fine with gaming consoles thanks to its full-size HDMI port and built-in speakers, but rather than testing gaming performance, I wanted to focus on how it fits into a home lab workflow for single-board computers, servers, or troubleshooting other headless gear, as well as a secondary display. So let's plug this into some gear and put it through its paces. Starting with the Raspberry Pi 5, the display came up right away, and when I checked with xrandar, which is a simple Linux command that shows the screen's available resolutions, it was already running at the correct 1920 by 1200, which means the monitor is communicating its supported resolutions properly, which is a great sign for a portable display. The display was very easy to read, and the viewing angles were actually quite good. Color stayed consistent and nothing faded. The touchscreen functionality also worked like a champ. I was able to easily scroll and zoom in thanks to multi-touch support. For testing on my Supermicro proxmox server, which only has a VGA output, I used a GANA USB-powered VGA to HDMI converter. Proxmox terminal came right up and the text was perfectly readable. Just make sure to use a VGA to HDMI converter, not an HDMI to VGA adapter, because the latter won't work. And that's actually why I really like this little monitor. It's perfect for a home lab. Plenty of modern server boards still rely on VGA as their only display output. IPMI and KVM over IP is great if you happen to have it, but not everybody does. So having a compact screen like this makes quick troubleshooting way easier without having to drag around a full-size monitor. As a secondary display, it's completely plug and play on both my Mac and Windows PCs when connected over HDMI, but the touchscreen currently only supports Windows 11 and Raspberry Pi based systems so long as the USB cable is connected to the computer for power and touchscreen data, but the USB cable does not carry a video signal. The touchscreen is also listed as compatible with Android, although I wasn't able to test that. What surprised me is how well it works as a second screen for an iPhone or iPad using their USB Type-C port with an HDMI to USB Type-C cable. Just remember the monitor still needs separate USB-C power, and you won't get touch functionality in this mode since HDMI only carries a video signal. So many portable monitors feature one USB port for both power and video delivery. The Andycine takes a different approach with the video and audio passing through the full-size HDMI port, while a separate USB-C port handles power and touchscreen data. You do sacrifice the convenience of a one cable setup, but the trade-off is a more robust full-size HDMI connection without the hassle of multiple adapters. And that's my preference, but let me know in the comments if you would prefer a one cable solution. With respect to sound quality, I tested the monitor's rear speakers at full volume while connected to my Mac. It's certainly serviceable in a pinch for background music or testing, but it's not something I would use for gaming or any serious media consumption. And this brings us to the OSD controls and settings, which instead of advanced options like RGB range, black level, gamma control, HDR toggles, or color temperature presets, the focus is on more basic adjustments like brightness, contrast, and a few scene modes like FPS for first-person shooters, movie, or eye protection, which is always nice. And this is typical for smaller budget-sized portable monitors. It keeps things easy to use, but it also means you have very little control over color accuracy or fine-tuning the image. And speaking of image quality, the Amazon listing claims around 96% sRGB, but in testing it behaves more like a typical budget IPS panel. Colors lean a little warm, saturation is softer, and it doesn't have the same color depth you'd expect from a true near 100% sRGB display. It's totally fine for everyday and home lab use, but it's not a color accurate screen, and frankly, I don't know that I would expect it to be. To demo some of the color tests I did, I'm using a 2024 MacBook Pro display, so you have a point of reference. This is not supposed to be a direct comparison. Starting with black levels, on the Mac you can clearly see those first few dark gray boxes as separate tones. On the Andycine, they start bleeding together much earlier, which is totally normal for a budget IPS monitor. Black sits closer to a dark gray, but that's expected in this category of monitor. For white saturation, the Mac shows all of the near white shades distinctly with no tint, but on the Andycine, the brightest boxes merge together a bit sooner and pick up a slight warm cast. Again, very typical behavior for a portable 10-inch panel without advanced backlighting or calibration. Moving on to the contrast bars, on the Mac, the black bars stay deep and the whites stay very clean. On the Andycine, the blacks tighten towards gray and the whites shift slightly. Nothing surprising here. This is what you would expect from a 1000-to-1 IPS panel in this price range anyway. And finally, we have the color bars, where on the Mac, it displays those fully saturated sRGB primaries very well. The Andycine shows a softer, less punchier version of the same colors, which again is expected for a portable monitor that isn't designed for color critical work. Again, this is not a Mac display versus Andycine display comparison, just a way to help visually anchor the Andycine's display quality against a known reference. And for a small, budget-friendly portable display, the results are actually very good in my opinion. So all in all, I really found this portable monitor to be quite useful in my home lab as well as a secondary monitor. And whether you're flashing OS, checking server logs, or diagnosing boot issues on a Raspberry Pi, this plug-and-play screen is definitely an affordable, reliable, and super convenient alternative to lugging around a full-size monitor. And that is going to wrap things up for this review, tech fans. But please let me know in the comments if you're in the market for a portable monitor like this, or if you already have a solution and what solution you're using. As always, please make sure you're subscribed to Mackey Tech for more home lab content like this, and to check out my Patreon for behind-the-scenes footage and some of my more in-depth tutorials. A special shout out to my awesome Patreon supporters and to Andycine again for sending me this monitor full review. I will be leaving purchasing links in the video description. Thank you all for watching, and we'll be talking to you again very soon.